Story 1. Everything was ridiculously sweet. If I cheated, like drinking a can of Coca-Cola, it was impossible to finish. Story 2. I quit sugar and significantly reduced my carbohydrate intake. For me, the biggest benefit is not having cravings or energy crashes distracting me throughout the day. It is very liberating, one less thing to worry about. It turns out eating healthy is quite easy when you do not have to constantly fight against your own body. Story 3. I didn't quit sugar entirely, but I stopped drinking soda. It was rough at first, but now if I drink one, it just tastes like syrup. The frustrating part is that I didn't lose a single pound. Story 4. Did you know carrots are actually very sweet? I did not know until I stopped eating processed and refined sugars. Fruit is amazing now. Story 5. I did a 30-day challenge a long time ago of no sugar, nothing sugary like soda or candy. It was very hard the first few days, but as I got to the end, I could have kept going. Your body stops asking for it. Story 6. I gave up sugar for well over a year and started to detect sweetness in things I would not have before. I became more appreciative of subtle sweetness. However, I did not find any change in my health, skin, or energy levels. I reverted to using sugar after a while, but my intake is still reduced. I can no longer stand things that are very sweet, including fruit that is not tart. Story 7. I quit added sugar, still ate fruit and raw fruit bars, for 100 days. My digestion improved, but honestly it was tough and I felt pretty weird. Everyone would say, well, it's been X months now, you're probably not missing sugar anymore. While in reality, I just wanted some sugar. When I ended this diet, it was easy to become addicted to sugar again. Story 8. The biggest change I noticed was in my skin. My complexion cleared up, and I do not get as many breakouts. It was a slow process, but about a month in, I could really see a difference. Story 9. I lost 10 pounds per month without exercising. I now eat a minimal amount of carbohydrates 90% of the time, and I have eliminated inflammation, brain fog, and sluggishness. I will eat this way for the rest of my life. Story 10. Since May 1st, when I started a low-carbohydrate diet, I have lost over 60 pounds. My skin has cleared up. I eat less. My heartburn is gone. My allergies are gone. I sleep better. I wake up more easily. I gained 2 optical inches. Story 11. I urinate less and do not get as thirsty at night as I used to. In hindsight, I think I might have accidentally saved myself from diabetes. Story 12. It really is an addiction. It took me a few weeks of effort and low-carbohydrate dieting to break free. It really changes your life. You just feel so much better. You don't have the hunger pangs or the wildly fluctuating energy. You just feel better overall. Full disclosure. I did this as part of an intermittent fasting program. After a few months, I was able to have some cookies once in a while. But be warned, it is very easy to fall back into old habits. Story 13. None. I was hoping for some changes and looking for them, but none. I just have to believe that there are health changes that I cannot see. I felt the same way when I quit smoking. Story 14. I just finished reading Ultra-Processed People. It is worth a read and is closely associated with this topic. Story 15. I moved in with my now husband 2 years ago, and he didn't have any sweets in the house. The only sugar was a small Tupperware container that clearly hadn't been used in some time. He grew up in a house where he didn't have birthday cake for the first time until he was 6 at a classmate's party. It was really hard for me to quit cold turkey, so I paced myself. I grew up in a house where if you wanted a snack, you reached for the Oreos. I swapped with healthier alternatives like plain Greek yogurt with a small amount of honey and cinnamon or a small dollop of homemade whipped cream on strawberries, and then reduced or removed it entirely. It was not easy. Once I quit, I noticed fewer headaches. I wasn't thirsty all the time. My hypermobility flare-ups decreased in severity, including aching joints and tendon pain. I genuinely felt less like general crap all the time. More energy throughout the day. I stopped craving sugar entirely. Everything with sugar now tastes overly sweet and unpleasant. Fruit is good, but I don't reach for it much. I love oven and pan-roasted broccoli. It's amazing and feels like a total treat. I now cannot eat Oreos or certain processed chocolate brands. I learned this the hard way when I visited my parents for a few days. If I do, I feel seriously physically ill. I lost and then gained some weight, which I attribute to aging and finally giving my body the nutrients it needed. Smoother, clearer skin. Ironically, I sleep better because I don't feel terrible all the time. I crave savory snacks now. We've swapped for things like hummus and sun chips. My husband loves mixed nuts and plain berry bowls. On rare occasions when we do have sweets, like special occasions such as Thanksgiving or birthdays, they're homemade like brownies, and even then they rarely get finished. They're just too sweet. Moral of the story: do it. It's worth it for your body. Story 16. I once quit sugar by accident because I had a cavity that stung every time I ate something sugary. I wish I had never gotten a filling because I stopped craving sugar and actually lost a lot of weight, considering that my biggest snack vice is my sweet tooth. Story 17. I hate the fact that absolutely nothing changed, but I know if I were to introduce sugar back into my diet, I would gain a significant amount of weight. I did not lose any weight when I stopped. Story 18. I was able to stop taking medication for diabetes, and my ability to have an erection returned. Story 19. I have cut down on carbohydrates and sugar in the last 2 months, and I can tell a difference. I really noticed the difference when I had 3 bites of a birthday cake. Within the hour, I wanted to eat anything fried, sugary, or just any unhealthy food I could find. I did not give in, and the following day I was back to no cravings. I am eating a lot more fruits and vegetables, and I feel like I am in control of food instead of it controlling me. Overall, my mood is better and I feel healthier. Story 20. Lack of joy and will to live. I am fine with dying early if I have to. Story 21. My finger and neck arthritis were greatly reduced, and my face shrank quickly. Apparently, sugar causes inflammation, which aggravates both. Story 22. Well, we can start from biggest to smallest. Lost 102 pounds. Reversed diabetes. Lost the gnawing hunger and intense cravings that sugar brings. Haven't had a single cavity in over 4 years, whereas I had at least 1 or 2 every 6 months before. My skin and hair look better at 41 than in my 20s. More even moods. No more midnight blood sugar crashes that wake me up and lead to binge eating. Cons. Looking like a weirdo at a wedding because I can't have the cake they just served me. Being very sensitive to added sugars hidden in non-sugary foods, so I basically make everything from scratch, from salad dressings to marinades. An overripe mango is so sweet my tongue sweats, and I can't have more than a slice. Not fun to go out to eat anymore. I'm the person questioning the server about ingredients and modifying my order. It's embarrassing, but less so than the time I broke my tattoo artist's super expensive chair because I was so heavy or cracked 3 separate toilet seats. Story 23. I noticed all the hidden sugars in food from reading the labels. I was horrified, to be honest. Story 24. I did not change my diet apart from significantly cutting down on sugar, and I started losing weight. I am down 18 pounds over the last year and a half, and my cholesterol is down 50 points. Story 25. Sweet things taste much sweeter. I notice sugar in savory foods if I accidentally buy a sauce or go to someone's place for dinner and they use something with sweeteners in it. It often tastes overly sugary and unpleasant. I felt better when I didn't have any major stressors in my life, but the moment anything made me feel pressure and stress, I suddenly found it much more difficult to cope. That is potentially because I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and in the past, I have used chocolate to give me small dopamine boosts throughout the day when I felt like I needed them to get things done. Story 26. Dark chocolate, which I normally hated, became so delicious and indulgent. Story 27. Lost weight, less anxiety, sugar rush if I consume something sweet. Story 28. I literally cut out any food with more than 3 grams of added sugar per serving and no soda at all, including diet soda. The one area I allow sugar is in cocktails. Over the first 3 months, the following happened with no other lifestyle changes. Lost approximately 25 pounds. Had more energy. Lost all cravings and desire for sweet food. This took about a week for 95%. No more headaches. Would get a mild one about once per week. slept a bit better, blood pressure lowered enough to reduce the dose of medication. I also had a massive improvement in mental health. After about 2 to 4 weeks, the cravings were gone and were replaced with a sense of ownership, willpower, and determination over my health and body. About 4 months in, I started running and began treatment with Zepbound. I am currently 65 pounds down and a year in. I started at just over 330 pounds and currently weigh about 267 pounds. Every once in a while, I feel a craving, but it goes away quite quickly. It definitely isn't easy, but with the support of my partner, it has been amazing. One suggestion if you decide to try it: there is no such thing as just one. Do not give yourself a pass, no cheating, stick with it. Story 29. Fixed my constipation issue that no doctor could figure out, even after a colonoscopy. After the holidays last year, I decided to limit my sugar intake since I had consumed so much extra sugar during the holidays. After a couple of weeks, I noticed I was going regularly without much effort. Who knew? Story 30. Lost 10 pounds, rarely get headaches anymore, food tastes better. Story 31. Honest question. How do you realistically cut sugar? It is in everything, even items you would not consider sweet like pasta sauces. Do you set a daily limit on grams of sugar and stick to that? Do you clear out your pantry and avoid anything with more than a certain amount of sugar? I want to try this, but I have no idea where to start. I quit soda 5 years ago, and now soda tastes like straight acid if I drink it, but I am not sure how to eliminate sugar completely. Story 32. Probably fewer mood swings. I eat fruit and drink plenty of water. I can smell sugar, like vanilla and caramel, quite overpowering. You start noticing how much sugar is inside food. I can't eat strawberries anymore. Coffee tastes normal. I don't need any added flavors. Story 33. Stuff you once thought of as bland or tasteless actually has distinct flavors. Story 34. It cleared up much of my congestion and allergies. I could smell for the first time in my life. I never knew bananas had a scent, but I could smell a ripe banana from across the room. The bread aisle smelled amazing. My relationship with food became normal. It was the only time in my life I did not suffer from binge eating. One day I fell off the wagon and gained weight, but it was a good 2 years. For more context, I followed a ketogenic diet and significantly reduced my carbohydrate intake, which was probably also a factor. I lost nearly 40 pounds, going from 250 pounds, and kept the weight off easily for 2 years. Story 35. I'm following a diet where I only eat a maximum of 2,000 calories, as recommended for a woman. This means I have cut a lot of sugar out of my way of eating. I have been doing this for about 2.5 months now. Yesterday, I had a cheat day because I went out shopping with my mother. We had junk food for dinner and allowed ourselves snacks and sodas, basically my old way of eating. I didn't want to worry about calorie counting while on a fun day out. Today, I feel bad, physically. I feel sluggish and just plain unwell. In summary, my body doesn't tolerate junk food anymore. Story 36. When I followed the ketogenic diet before, which involves cutting out sugar and carbohydrates, I felt euphoric at times. Story 37. Way less hungry, stable blood sugar, lost weight, no bloating or puffy face, and felt good. Story 38. I have a disordered eating history, so I generally cannot do extreme changes like completely eliminating something. A helpful approach is trying to add foods rather than removing them. Recently, my focus has been gut health and nervous system regulation, so I am eating regularly, getting more fiber and protein, and trying to eat as many different kinds of plants and whole foods as possible. As a result, I am definitely eating less sugar. I still add a small amount of stevia or molasses to some hot beverages, and I enjoy dark chocolate and occasionally dried fruit or a homemade mug cake. This approach works for me because being able to have sweet things makes them less of an obsession. Many foods do not taste as good or negatively affect my mood or digestive system. I have tried low carbohydrate and no sugar diets many times before. While I appreciate that it helps some people, it is very difficult for me. I stuck with it for months but never got used to it. My energy and mood were poor, and I believe it negatively affected my hormones. My skin did not improve, and the weight loss I achieved was minimal and not worth it. I also dreamt about beans. Story 39. Lifting of brain fog that had plagued me for years, improved energy, sleep, and quality of life. I stopped feeling like I was living under the shadow of a mysterious illness they just could not diagnose. I still eat sugar, just a fraction of what I used to, and it is more incidental and occasional. Story 40. I didn't quit sugar. I quit drinking sugar. Eventually, any desire for it just went away. Replacing soda with water or unsweetened iced tea without sweetener can easily reduce your calorie intake by 300 to 1,500 calories a day, depending on your soda or energy drink consumption. Soda and energy drink consumers may not realize they are consuming the equivalent of 2 or 3 extra meals a day. The ingredients in sodas and energy drinks are harmful. I also cut out alcohol since the morning after is not worth the buzz, and the calories in alcohol are excessive. In the order I thought of them: 1. Eating out is significantly cheaper, $3 to $4 per soda, $13 to $22 for a sugary mixed drink or beer. 2. It's not just how I feel all the time, it's how I notice I feel after consuming a lot of sugar. Very unwell. Sugar made me feel bad constantly, so feeling bad became my baseline. 3. Less fatigue in general. 4. Improved sleep. 5. Greatly reduced stomach and lower gastrointestinal problems. Story 41. I didn't fully quit, just cut down most of it or replaced it with fresh fruit. Lost about 10 pounds in a month, which became around 25 pounds over 3 to 4 months. Better sleep. Less pain in my joints during sports due to the weight loss. Also faster and more agile. Mosquito bites no longer swell or blister. Skin dermatitis and adult acne cleared up. Energy levels feel more balanced and sustained. Water tastes really good now. On the flip side, I lost weight too quickly, so my hair has thinned a bit as a result. Story 42. In 2 weeks, I went from being barely able to put on my underwear in the morning to having a nearly full range of flexibility. I think the sugar was contributing to some inflammation. Story 43. Anything that uses artificial sweeteners tastes like chemicals. Story 44. Weight loss. A greater appreciation for things that contain natural sugars, such as dates, bananas, apples, honey, etc. Story 45. Quit sugar and carbohydrates for 2, 3, and 5 months at different points in the last 2 years, mainly following a carnivore diet. You lose an incredible amount of weight. In the last 2 months, I lost 25 pounds. I am currently cheating because my birthday is coming up. You gain an incredible amount of natural energy, meaning not sugar converted to energy but stored fats converted to energy. There is no brain fog in the morning, and you can function on less sleep than when eating sugars and carbohydrates. When you cheat with sugar, the effect is incredibly strong, to the point where it makes me physically sick. Story 46. I felt great. I had so much energy, and all my problem areas shrunk quickly. I woke up early and was able to get moving very fast. My head felt really clear. As a 5'3" woman, I went from 165 pounds to 135 pounds in 4 months. Story 47. I have voluntarily avoided sugar for about 3 months because eating sugar was hurting my teeth, which need to be fixed. However, I have not had consistent insurance or money to go to the dentist. The worst part is that I have noticed no change. I thought I would lose my stubborn 5 to 10 extra pounds, but I have not. I have not experienced more energy or decreased cravings for sweet foods, especially before my menstrual cycle. I still want a big bowl of ice cream and chocolate. It has only made me less happy. Story 48. I'm not off sugar now, but I did it in the past. I noticed that after a certain period without sugar, I stopped craving sweet things. I have read that our bodies get addicted to sugar, and I fully believe that. Story 49. It wasn't me who did it, but my grandmother. She received a warning of prediabetes, and in 3 weeks, she lost 5 pounds by cutting sugar and carbohydrates out entirely, along with daily exercise. Bodies are amazing. Huh? Story 50. When you cut out hard-to-process sugars, your body speeds up in many ways. Unpopular opinion, but sugar is a drug and most of us became addicted young. Once you limit or cut out harmful sugars, your metabolism speeds up and your intense hunger cravings go away because that is a side effect of sugar. Everything tastes super sweet now. Sparkling waters are my favorite way to enjoy a tasty drink. I love bubbly waters and so does everyone else. The price of sparkling water has risen significantly. Regular soda like Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper is harmful. Not as bad as alcohol, but still terrible. If you are addicted to drinking soda, you are likely on your way to developing sugar-related problems such as diabetes. We were not meant to handle 1,000 grams of sugar a day. Our diets are harming us faster than any mainstream drug or alcohol. The problem is, our food addiction is highly profitable. So it is up to each person to educate themselves and make better dietary choices. Or don't and face the consequences. It is life. Live it how you want. That is the beauty of each individual's journey. It is all up to you. Story 51. I go 4 weeks without, then give myself 1 week with it and repeat. This includes alcohol. I noticed no real difference at all, and my lipids did not go down either. The only difference is actually craving sugar after meals. That stops after just a few days. Story 52. I could drink normal plain water, which almost every living thing needs daily, without feeling like it is drying my throat or tasting bad. I was addicted to sugary drinks, such as cordial, and when I was quitting, my body was craving so much that I was shaking. After I got through withdrawal, I was less antsy and less anxious most of the time. Story 53. I have stopped drinking soda about 2 weeks ago. My blood pressure has dropped from pre-hypertension to normal. Story 54. I went on a carnivore diet, eliminating sugar, carbohydrates, processed foods, and so on. I immediately noticed less inflammation, like losing water retention after quitting sugar and carbohydrates. There was less pain from arthritis in my joints caused by bodybuilding. I experienced better focus and no longer feel drained after eating. Unlike when I consumed unhealthy food with sugar, my concentration improved, and I have more energy. Story 55. No headache, no back pain, sleeping well, more energy, losing weight, eating healthier, feeling full most of the time, eating less now. Story 56. Curious which of you are following a full diet with no products containing sugar added in any form, such as spaghetti sauce, salad dressings, and breads, and which of you are avoiding all sugars including fruit, some milk, and yogurt. Story 57. Less hungry and less tired due to not having blood sugar spikes anymore. Also, weight loss. Story 58. I started binge eating sugary food because I wanted sugar very badly. Story 59. Lost a little weight but nothing dramatic, and my mental health was the same. None of my physical issues improved either. Story 60. I looked significantly skinnier in the next 2 days. It turns out all those carbohydrates and sugar just make our cells super bloated. Story 61. I quit eating added sugar for 90 days and now I hate ketchup. I used to love it, but now its sweetness disgusts me. Story 62. Greatly reduced sugar intake. Fewer cravings, less stomach discomfort, and a sense of making progress on my health. Story 63. I completely eliminated refined sugar and all refined carbohydrates such as white flour and white rice. Body changes. I no longer have any red, dry, or inflamed skin. My skin is very bright and evenly toned now. My menstrual cycle is regulated, and I no longer experience period cramps. Food changes. Fruit tastes very sweet now. Overall, everything tastes much better. Story 64. I'm not going to say I quit all sugar, but I quit eating dessert about 2 months ago. I was never a soda drinker to begin with, so now I only consume it if I add some to a dressing or syrup on bacon. I don't know if I've lost weight because I don't weigh myself, but I did notice that all the acne I had on my back and upper butt went away. I thought that was interesting. My skin is very clear now. Story 65. You will not notice much difference if you reduce sugar but continue eating simple carbohydrates like bread, pasta, and chips. Story 66. I have a rare kidney disease and have been on a ketogenic diet for 3.5 years. I have not had sugar or many carbohydrates since then. I am in my mid to late 30s and have a six-pack. I do not get tired after eating lunch, and I do not even get particularly hungry anymore. Acid reflux is gone. On the negative side, eating out is now difficult. I do not really crave sugar anymore, except when intoxicated. Story 67. When I see quit sugar, I understand it as quitting glucose, which means stopping sugar, carbohydrates, and starches, and eating highly nutritious foods. I noticed none of my belts fit anymore, all my clothes were too big, physical tasks became easier, and my doctor was surprised. I had the best health results of my life in a short time. Story 68. I didn't quit sugar entirely but stopped eating cake, candy, and ice cream, though I can have cake or ice cream on special occasions or outings. I have pretty much given up candy for good. I also avoid sugary drinks and drinks with artificial sugar. I still eat plenty of flavored yogurt and fruit, and I drink alcohol as frequently as I did before quitting sugar, ranging from a few times a week to a few times a month depending on my activities. My frequent migraines went away. I used to get them all the time and had many triggers. I couldn't be out in the sun or bright light for too long, couldn't have too much coffee, and couldn't drink red wine or tea. Certain smells, like woodsy perfumes, would make me nauseous. After cutting out sugar, I can now do all of those things without problems. Sugar was the main cause. I feel like I have my life back. I used to have debilitating headaches at least every other week. Sugary foods would also cause migraines, but were just one of many triggers, so I didn't take it seriously. Now I can have cake occasionally without triggering a migraine, but a few times when I went overboard, I was bedridden for a few days. I can't believe I used to live like that all the time. I also lost about 20 pounds, but it wasn't effortless. I counted calories and worked out. Cutting out sugar made it possible. I had worked out and counted calories before quitting sugar, but it was very difficult and I regained the weight easily. Right now, I've plateaued but am maintaining the loss well. I'm taking a break and will ramp back up as soon as I feel ready. I still have about 10 pounds to lose before reaching my goal. I've been doing well avoiding sugar. I had cake tonight at a party where I expected to have a slice, so that fits my plan. It wasn't enough to trigger a migraine, so I'm good. Story 69. Notice no real differences other than if I were to have something sweet now, I do not really enjoy it because it is too sweet. Story 70. I did the Whole30 diet with my girlfriend at the time, and the sugar cravings went away after the first week. Fruit tasted sweeter. For example, an apple tasted as sweet as a Skittle. Honey or ice cream was a treat in itself, and I had so much energy. If I had candy, it was a fraction of what I used to consume. Story 71. I did a week without soda and ate home-cooked food. My skin started clearing up. Story 72. Had scrotal dermatitis for years, similar to eczema on the testicles. It involved cracked, itchy, rough patches of skin. 1 month after quitting soda, the condition was gone and never returned. Story 73. At first, it was hard, almost like a detox where my body was craving something sweet. After a number of weeks, I started appreciating sparkling water. Fruit tastes sweeter now, and things have a different flavor. Nothing in my house has anything other than trace amounts of added sugar, and I love it. I never feel sleepy in the afternoon. My mood has improved, as has my appetite. There are so many things which are incredibly sweet without added sugar. My body is now sensitive enough to realize that. After this process and the realization that nearly everything, at least in the United States, has added sugar, I have come to the conclusion that non-natural sugar is a drug. I highly recommend eliminating it from your diet. I will never go back. Story 74. Turns out I am not cursed with awful skin and rosacea. I just needed to fix my diet. Once I quit sugar, aside from fruit, I would say 90% of those issues cleared up within a few weeks. Also, my palate changed almost overnight. All of a sudden, cake and cookies look overwhelmingly rich to me, and I cannot really stomach more than a couple of bites in situations where I feel socially obligated to have some. I also suddenly became fanatically obsessed with all different types of tea. I think that might be related. Story 75. I used to drink 4 liters of Coca-Cola every day from age 16 to 22. I would get up in the middle of the night to drink it, I tried quitting cold turkey and experienced huge mood swings, becoming very agitated. I craved it intensely. Now, when I drink Coca-Cola or soda, I find it incredibly sweet and cannot drink more than a sip. What is really interesting is that when I was traveling in the United States, I could taste it in the food there, especially in processed food and sauces. I could hardly eat bread there and had to wipe off the sauce from my food. Also, I ran an ultramarathon during which, in the last 20% of the race, I drank flat Coca-Cola. By the end, I was sucking on the water bottle aggressively to get that effect. Story 76. I'm currently working on cutting out refined and added sugars. I have always loved fruit and have been incorporating more of it instead. For the past couple of years, I developed what my husband assumed was heat rash because I work out a lot in extreme heat and I live in Arizona. It appeared as clusters of small red bumps with large lesions that were incredibly painful and only appeared on my back and neck. Whether I touched the lesions or not, they left scars. They appeared around the same time each year. By cutting down and essentially stopping refined and added sugars, my skin has almost completely cleared up. I was eating so much sugar without caring. It's crazy how big of a difference it made. I tend to go through intense sugar-consuming phases at this time of year, which is when the skin issues would arise. The longer I go without sugar, the less I crave processed sweets. Whenever I think about eating processed sugars, I remember that I don't want those lesions back. Also, my workouts feel amazing. I can push myself harder when I'm not over-consuming sugar. I notice a significant difference in my drive, focus, and ability to push myself. Story 77. Lots of brain fog has been eliminated, and my body has become more stable, allowing me to think more clearly. I suggest you try it. It has made me capable of performing at a higher level. Story 78. When I did it in the past, unfortunately now I eat more than ever. One of the things I remember noticing is that you become extremely sensitive when you eat something that has sugar, even a little bit, and it actually tastes strange. Story 79. I cut carbohydrates and sugar significantly. As an older woman, after about 4 months, I noticed skin tags, lumps, and bumps on my skin started disappearing. I also had raised, dark, rough skin blemishes that are gone now. I think years of consuming carbohydrates and sugar caused those blemishes. I also lost 62 pounds. Story 80. Maybe a simple question, but how do you quit sugar if it is in nearly everything? Story 81. I was fighting depression very hard for many years, including suicidal depression. I never felt like myself. Constant negative looping thoughts lasted for days on end. It was neurotic. I figured out it had to do with refined sugar. I used honey and maple sugar to quit refined sugar. 2 weeks later, my depression was gone and has never returned. I won't touch refined cane sugar. In my eyes, it's poison. I'm never going back. I'm extremely happy to say that. I do wish I could enjoy it like everyone else, but this is one of those things I'm better off without. I'm sure it doesn't affect many people this way. Lucky you. Story 82. Skin was glowing, and joints hurt less. I was also consistently walking every day, so I consider it a combination effect on the joint pain. Story 83. I have not completely quit, but I have stopped drinking carbonated drinks. I am sleeping better for sure. Story 84. The skin of the face and body is clean, and the swelling has gone. Story 85. I initially lost about 20 pounds. I have more energy, fewer cravings, and I feel satisfied eating less. I feel happier, and my mental outlook is better. I had to quit sugar because the doctor diagnosed me with diabetes, and it has helped tremendously. I was even taken off my medication because I quit. Story 86. Improved digestion, clearer skin, weight loss of 45 pounds, mental clarity, no migraines, and significantly less inflammation and pain. Story 87. Mental health drastically improved. No energy crashes, my teeth thanked me, and I lost a lot of weight. I recently added honey to my diet to satisfy my sweet tooth, and fruits also help. Story 88. Fruit turns into nature's candy. Processed sugars are the worst. Story 89. I didn't do anything but cut out high sugar eating habits. No more cereal, sugary snacks, or sweet coffee. I still eat the same other meals, probably the same or more calories per day, and replaced sugary treats with Greek yogurt and some honey when I need something sweet. I didn't lose a lot of weight but lost fat everywhere. Tummy fat and back fat are melting away. It makes a huge difference, and I am convinced this is the main reason for weight-related health issues worldwide. Story 90. Now, if I eat anything sweet, I cannot eat much of it. It feels like I am experiencing a sugar overdose. So I stop. Story 91. Less acne. I opt for sugar-free everything now. Syrups, jams, and more. A game changer for my skin for sure. Story 92. How can you even quit sugar? Everything contains sugar. Your neurons use glucose. If you mean unnecessary sweets and similar items, you would lose weight. Story 93. I had to quit sugar because I am diabetic. I don't really notice it most days, until someone eats a candy bar in front of me or a family member is about to have a birthday, and they ask what flavor of ice cream to get. Sugar-free ice cream is practically non-existent where I live, and no sugar-added options are very limited in flavor, mostly vanilla. Zero-sugar candy is also limited, mostly gummies and hard candies. I did manage to find zero-sugar cake and frosting, so I made one for my last birthday. I do have to watch some condiments because it is surprising how often they contain sugar. I am also very limited when it comes to cereals. Practically all the good-tasting cereals are off the list. I haven't lost weight or anything like that, which is disappointing. Story 94. Less blood sugar drops, which to me was surprising. I had a real issue with that before I gave up sugar. Now I don't experience it at all, even if I haven't eaten for a whole day. I couldn't go more than about 4 hours without eating something before, and I'd feel faint and unwell. Now it's like my body says, it's whatever. Also, I can eat tomatoes again. Before, they caused me severe acid discomfort like gargling razor blades. Foods I thought were bland are now flavorful. Story 95. Had a headache the first week. If I cheat, it tastes like 20 times more intense. The cravings fade away, but it was a hard addiction to fight. Story 96. I tried it for 30 days. The fruit was okay, but there was absolutely nothing with added sugar. I felt unwell the whole time. I was really disappointed to see no improvements at all. Maybe I needed to do it for longer than a month. It was a lot of effort for no gain, and I felt worse than before. Story 97. The first change I noticed when I gave up soda was how much society pushes soda on you. Every single meal comes with soda and no alternatives, or more expensive alternatives. You really have to plan your meals. You cannot just order a combo meal without thinking. Even Costco hot dogs come with a large soda cup. It is almost like society does not want you to quit soda. Story 98. Nothing, just that chocolate tasted too sweet, and to this day I can only eat one kind. Story 99. Sustained energy. Switching the primary energy source from sugar to fat improved everything. Story 100. Better hair, skin, fewer cravings, more energy, better sleep cycle. Story 101. I stopped feeling bloated, and my face became noticeably slimmer. I also had clearer skin and slept better at night. Story 102. Within a few days to a week, it is out of your system and you do not feel the need for the dopamine hits from it. The problem is trying to stop. This includes sugar and processed white flour. Story 103. 15 years ago, I could barely walk due to leg and foot pains. I stopped drinking soda and anything that had high amounts of sugar. Took over a year, but the pains and numbness went away. Most of the large moles I had on my head and body also disappeared. Story 104. Sweetness reset for me somewhat. I got so much enjoyment out of eating sugary things once a week. I lost weight, also combined with a low-carbohydrate diet, slept better, had better skin, but was less happy because I was always jealous of my friends eating ice cream and cookies whenever they wanted. I eventually started eating it again after mostly 7 years without, and I feel a lot more connected to the world and the social interactions around food. Not that you can't have this with restrictions, I just always wanted the tasty treats my friends had and now look forward to parts of my day much more knowing I'll have ice cream for dessert or whatever. Story 105. Very good and healthy teeth. My dentist complimented my teeth and even mentioned it to my mother. Story 106. I try to avoid anything with added sugars and make sure I hit my protein goal every day, which is 200 grams. Fruit is almost too sweet now. I eat a lot of berries and save the sweeter ones for before the gym. Story 107. My skin looks better but not in a very noticeable way to others. I don't eat much sugar and stick to sugar-free snacks, black coffee, and water mostly because I have braces now. As others mentioned, sometimes sweet things are incredibly sweet when I try them again. Story 108. I quit sugar after excessively consuming it. Very soon, I found that I physically needed a single piece of chocolate to get my body going in the morning. I was pleasantly surprised when my legs stopped hurting while working in the kitchen. Sugar must have been contributing to some mild inflammation I could not see. I have lost about 2 kilograms without any other lifestyle changes. Story 109. I quit in 2011 cold turkey. I have not had a Coca-Cola or candy bar since. When I am given a sweet tea by accident, it tastes awful. I will say my mind is a bit clearer after I stopped, but I cannot confirm it is from past sugar intake. Story 110. I am less sleepy during the day. Also, my skin is better. I have fewer cravings as well. Actually, just having a low-carbohydrate breakfast has changed a lot. Story 111. I am in the process of quitting sugar with gradual reduction. I have lost 11 pounds over the last month and feel less bloated. If I slip and eat too much, the crash is noticeable. I notice how overly sweet some of my old treats taste now. Too many people in my family are dying from diabetes and its complications, including my father. I am trying not to be part of that family history. Story 112. Irritability at first, then weight loss and reduced bloating or inflammation. Of course, by quitting sugar, that meant all carbohydrates for me. I probably dropped 15 pounds in a month with a regular running routine. Story 113. I did no refined sugar for a year, so I made everything from scratch. The first month was hard. The rest was easy and I had fewer energy lows. Energy levels always felt the same. I also lost a lot of weight. Story 114. My skin has less redness, fewer breakouts, and is not as dry. I sleep better too. If I eat sugar, such as fake or manufactured sweets, I break out badly. This is one of the hardest habits I have had to overcome. Story 115. After a couple of weeks, I stopped craving it. I had more energy and less lethargy, even in the mornings. I lost a lot of weight without doing much else. At one point, I lost about 3 to 4 pounds a week. Story 116. Many of the things already mentioned here. Foods high in sugar content taste different and too sweet. Some even taste unpleasant. I prefer my coffee without extras. I lost weight. My teeth have less staining. Although I get a good intake of water, I don't have to urinate as often. My menstrual cycle is generally painless. I might get a slight headache. My mood drastically changed. I went from worrying and being angry about things that I had no control over to being passive about things and finding it easier to move on. Brain fog disappeared. I think quicker and more analytically on many things. My skin, hair, and nails are glowing and growing. My skin is no longer dry or scaly, and my keratosis pilaris, strawberry skin, has drastically improved. I no longer crave things that aren't good for me. I have a soda occasionally, but I don't feel the need to continually drink them after having one a month. I can identify what my body is lacking based on what I crave now. For example, lettuce means thirst, or liver means low iron. Story 117. One strange thing is that it seems I get bitten by mosquitoes much less often. Story 118. More consistent energy throughout the entire day. No large glucose spikes or crashes. No lightheadedness. No brain fog. Muscles feeling less sore or stiff. Story 119. I stopped thinking about it all the time. Before I quit, thoughts of sugary things would randomly pop into my head and not go away until I ate something sweet, usually a lot of it. Now I rarely think about sugar at all. On the rare occasions I do, it only takes a bite for me to realize it is too much, too sweet and just not that good at all. Story 120. I stopped drinking all soda 11 months ago. I still consume some sugar but don't eat a lot of sweets. I lost around 18 pounds. I took a sip of Coca-Cola a while back, and it was too sweet, so I spat it out. Story 121. I quit sugar and carbohydrates. The headaches and withdrawals were bad for about 7 to 10 days. I lost 40 pounds in 4 months. I now drink diet sodas, but not too much, just one a week. Best decision ever. Story 122. 0. I did not eat anything with sugar or add sugar to anything for 3 months. I did not feel more energy, did not taste anything stronger, and did not sleep better. I lost a negligible amount of weight. It was tough and boring. I did, however, eat fruit and drink milk, which contain fructose and lactose, other kinds of sugar. I am thinking I might try this again, avoiding all types of sugar, but it will be difficult. Story 123. I quit sugar and followed a low-carbohydrate diet for 5 months. It was very difficult. The first month involved intense sugar cravings. After 1 month, the cravings subsided, but I did not notice any difference in energy levels or other positive effects that people describe. I constantly faced temptation everywhere I went because sugar was not allowed. It was unpleasant. I am happily back to consuming sugar. Story 124. My sinuses cleared up and I can sleep a lot better because of it. I always thought my cat allergies were causing me to be miserable. My passages were always swollen due to sneezing and constant mucus. Once I stopped drinking sugary drinks, especially Pepsi, my nose became happier. Story 125. My headaches went away. Also, everything is now extremely sweet. Story 126. I am doing the ketogenic diet. Day 14. I feel great. I am not hungry. My pants fit better. I can eat dark chocolate and it tastes sweet and wonderful. My entire sense of taste has changed. A Coca-Cola would overwhelm me at this point. The first 4 days were hard. Now it is fine. Story 127. Less cravings. These days, sweets are not as satisfying when I do eat them. Story 128. Really bland cereals that I used to hate taste great now. Corn flakes are probably my favorite. Story 129. I stopped eating sugar for the month of September. I didn't reduce my carbohydrate intake but avoided added sugar in food. I would eat something with 10 grams or less of added sugar on the nutrition label, like prepackaged fruit-flavored yogurt, and tried to keep added sugar to 20 to 25 grams per day or less. I had developed the habit of eating a lot of ice cream over the summer and stopping at the bakery for morning pastries once or twice a week. I wanted to break my sugar-eating habit. I had quit drinking alcohol earlier in the year, which was not very challenging. After a week or two, I no longer thought much about alcohol. Sugar was a different story. I really missed it. On top of that, I felt awful the first week. Brain fog, stomach cramps, and headaches were significant side effects. After about 3 weeks, I started to feel very depressed. It was like I lost all enjoyment of life and had no motivation. I didn't realize how much sugar affected my mood. I know this is probably not the solution, but I went back to giving myself a treat every day. I tried to limit it to just one, and I am feeling better. I just want to caution you to keep track of how you feel physically and mentally as you withdraw from sugar. Don't let your mood get too low, especially if you are prone to depression as I am. I didn't expect quitting sugar to have such a negative effect, so proceed with caution. Story 130. Stopping sugar is very difficult. The first week feels almost unbearable, but after that, it becomes manageable. Eventually, some people may relapse and start consuming sugar again. Story 131. Less of that, oh my God, I need to eat something right now or I will die, kind of hunger. Only if I cheat and eat some sugar do I feel almost sick with hunger about an hour later. Skin has improved also. Story 132. I lost 10 pounds in a year after quitting soda. There are many people with diabetes in my family, so I decided not to consume sugary drinks. Story 133. I stopped drinking soda in August of 2010. I was 14 years old. I have not had a single cup of soda other than alcoholic drinks mixed with soda in my adult years. This is something I am very proud of. I have noticed that my teeth are not as yellow as some of my friends. Story 134. So I haven't quit sugar, but I don't really buy sweets for myself. I eat maybe one dessert per week and don't have sweet snacks in my house. I used to get a donut, soda, Danish, or waffle with syrup almost every day. I have lost 30 pounds in the last year, and I don't get hungry nearly as much as I used to. I have begun pseudo-intermittent fasting by accident because I can naturally go until 5 to 6 p.m. without eating anything. I do consume zero-calorie sweet tea that has one of those sugar substitutes, so I admit to that. Sugar really does mess with your hunger cues if you eat too much of it. Story 135. I quit sugar last Tuesday. Today, I made pasta with a jarred tomato sauce. Tasted very sweet to me. It is not my usual brand, so I do not know if my regular sauce would taste like this, but I have never noticed any tomato sauce being sweet before. Story 136. My resting heart rate went down 10 points. I also quit alcohol, so that could have contributed as well. Story 137. I recently made a change. I quit sodas about 15 years ago, but took it a step further last month. The only sugars I now consume are about 5 grams total daily, compared to previously consuming 45 to 50 grams daily for my meal replacement drinks. All other sugars are gone. The main difference I notice is that I no longer crave sugary foods at all. When I used to have sugary items, I would constantly look forward to my next snack. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.